Hello, my friends. Today I'm back to recap the latest episode of Drag Race Season 17, The Villains Roast. The queens walk back into the workroom after Corey's elimination, and Susie says it's a Shakespearean tragedy between the two star-crossed lovers. Lydia is undoubtedly upset, but very happy to still be in the competition, and considering how this episode ended up going, keeping her was the right choice. As the girls congratulate Jules on her win, Lexi is looking pressed. She says it's her inner saboteur, not Jules, that's the problem, but this becomes a running theme for the rest of the episode, and we'll get there. So it's a new week in the workroom, and Michelle enters, not Rue. She says she is missing a major player that left way too early in the season, and of course, we're all thinking, oh, an eliminated contestant is coming back. But no, she was talking about the Badonkadunk tank. The queens are tasked to meet Michelle and Joey Nolfi on the main stage, and I just want to say it was nice to see Joey Nolfi here after all his work with the queens over the years. Michelle says it's time for some revenge. One by one, the queens have to sit in the dunk tank and answer some questions. However, it becomes apparent very quickly that the answers do not matter because Michelle just wants to dunk some hoes. She even dunks Joey Nolfi, who is giving the classic detox dunk tank pose from season 5. Nobody is a winner of this challenge, obviously. So back in the workroom, Michelle announces that for this week's Maxi Challenge, the queens will be throwing a villains roast. They need to pay tribute to 3 of the shadiest villains in Drag Race history: Mistress Isabelle Brooks, Plain Jane, and Candy Muse. As the winner of last week's challenge, Jules gets to assign the order of the roast. A great power to have, but with great power comes great controversy. By the way, if you can hear crazy rain in the background, Queensland just had a cyclone and we are experiencing the aftermath of it. So Jules makes Anya the opener and Lexi the closer, which is what Lexi asked for. But Lexi feels screwed over because Jules put Susie before her and she thinks that that is a stunt. And honestly, I felt like the girls were giving Susie far too much credit in this episode. They were all really intimidated by her and they didn't need to be. Arrietty is also mad at her placement. She feels like Jules, as her friend, knows that Arrietty is the weakest link in the roast and is weaponizing that to her advantage. In fact, Arrietty just looks upset the entire episode. However, during the walkthrough with Michelle and extra special guest judge Whitney Cummings, Arrietty decides to steal Jules' jokes as revenge. I mean, despite how this episode ended up going, that was kind of a genius move. It's like, okay, so you're putting me before you because you know that I'm going to flop, so I'm going to use the element of surprise, steal your jokes, and leave you blanking on the main stage. In the walkthrough, Michelle says that she doesn't really get silly vibes from Lana, and I thought, oh, this is the perfect opportunity for Lana to show her personality, and thankfully she did. Susie thinks that her jokes might be too smart for the audience, but Anya calls her out on her bullshit and says that Susie is purposely downplaying her set. And honestly, Anya is just the best in this episode. This is my favorite Anya episode yet. Lydia says she has a dark, twisted sense of humor that she isn't sure will translate well, and the edit was there, but in a good way. As the queens get ready, the tension is thick. Arrietty doesn't want to sit with Jules in case an argument starts. Jules tries to tell Arrietty that she wasn't purposely setting her up, but Arrietty isn't buying it, which is sort of fair because later on Jules says, okay, yeah, I did do that on purpose, so you know what, like, yeah. I do think Lexi was being a bit overdramatic in the workroom. She asked to be last, and she was placed last, but all she cares about is where Susie was placed. Susie says that the real issue is that Lexi was thrown off, and Jules says that she can't control Lexi's inner saboteur. I always say that if you're good enough, you can do well no matter where you're placed. Just turn it out. I love that Anya not only calls this out in the workroom, but she also calls it out later on Untucked, and Anya is just the realist. So on the main stage this evening, we have RuPaul in a bejeweled bodysuit, Michelle Visage, T.S. Madison, and extra special guest judge Whitney Cummings. It was time for the villains roast, and boy, were there a lot of fat jokes. Anya opens the set and she does well. It was perfectly safe. I'm never worried with Anya. She always has confidence where comedy is concerned. And then we have Arrietty, and it's just a train wreck from start to finish. In fact, when she was wrapping up her set, they started applauding. The secondhand cringe was real. Honestly, this is the worst set I've ever seen in Drag Race history. However, it isn't long before Jules realizes that her jokes were stolen. And unfortunately, this throws Jules off completely. She had to pivot and pivot hard when she realized her jokes were stolen, and she does not pivot. It was the moment I knew production would use the perfect opportunity for a friends turned enemies lip sync. Up next is Lana, and she does surprisingly well. I was so proud of her. Like every single joke landed. I never thought that Lana would kill a roast. Sam Star was up next, and she did really well. I wasn't worried about Sam at all. In fact, I predicted she would do well. I really love how she delivered that heart disease line at the end of her set. And then we had Lydia, and oh my god, her jokes were so vicious but so clever. I love the oscillating fan joke. Her set was definitely the best of the night. It was so funny. Susie is up next, and I do stand by my earlier point that they gave her way too much credit. I mean, she was fine. It wasn't anything amazing, but I do love when she said that Raven is beating a dead horse, essentially. Oh my god. As the closer, we have Lexi, who is so far in her head at this point that all the confidence leaves her gorgeous body. It was rough. Category is Who Wears Short Shorts, and I gave my top two to Sam Star. This was giving me my Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce fantasy, and I was here for it. Back on the main stage, Anya and Susie are made safe and the rest are critiqued. Arrietty is up first, and she is, of course, in the bottom. She set herself up to fail from the beginning. And look, I would have given this my top two to the week, but I didn't like how the chest didn't match the tights. I know that's a minor nitpick, but it really stood out to me. Next up is Jules, who is told that she went downhill very quickly, and Michelle's not thrilled with the Marie Antoinette of it all. I don't agree. I actually don't think this is very Marie Antoinette. Like, I get what they're saying, but this is completely different. And I loved it. I love the color. Lana is in the top, and well, yes, this is great news, but unfortunately, her runway is far too basic. I mean, the MAGA hat, the top, the cape that looks like a blanket. I mean, sorry, Lana. Sam Star is in the top for her confidence and her delivery, and this is a very polished look. Lydia is also in the top for her comic timing, but I hated this runway. I'm sorry, guys, I hated this. It doesn't fit the prompt. It swallows her whole, which is a critique that I have about most of Lydia's runways, and it looks far too similar to what she made last week. Lexi is in the bottom for not being funny, and Whitney Cummings says to her, "This is the last time your inner saboteur is going to rear its ugly head." Back on the main stage, Lydia receives her first win, and yes, so deserved. Very happy for Lydia. This was the best roast of the night. If we're looking at who did the best in the runway and the roast, though, I would say Sam Star. Lexi is saved, so it is down to frenemies Arrietty and Jules to lip sync. They lip sync to Ya Ya by Beyonce. Great song. They both put up a fight, but there is no world where they would keep Arrietty over Jules, and so we say goodbye to Arrietty. I am going to miss her incredible runways, truly some of the best fashions we've ever seen on the main stage. So next week is an acting challenge, and the edits don't look so good for Lexi and Jules. Let me know what you guys thought. Did you agree with the judging choices, and what did you think of the roast overall? I think that this roast was not very strong. There were far too many fat jokes, and it's not about the wokeness of it all. It's that it's not layered enough or nuanced enough. It's the same thing. It's too one note. I have to say, even the villains themselves looked underwhelmed and bored. One thing I can say is that Drag Race Season 17 is delivering on the drama. The girls are not holding back. They said, "Toxic fandom who? We're here to give you entertainment." And honestly, at this stage, I can say that I want Anya to win. Yes, I do. I think she's the realest. I think she's the best. I'm just loving Anya so much. I originally wanted Lexi to win, and now I'm all about Anya. But let me know what you guys think. Give me all of the tea, and I'll be back very soon with another video.